Dr. Laolu Oyediran in the building.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the channel, Doctor. Yes, good to have you. Good to so tell me, how did you guess this doctor attached to your name?
Okay, so I got this doctor how almost everybody got their own. For my undergraduate degree, I studied veterinary medicine.
Oh.
So I'm a doctor of veterinary medicine from the prestigious Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, in Nigeria.
Futa. What is it go Futa or Futarians? How did they call you guys?
No, it's FUNAB. It's FUNAB.
Oh, FUNAB. Oh, Federal University. Oh, it sounds like Federal University of Technology, Korea in my head. So when I had Federal University of, FUNAB. FUNAB, you guys are trying. Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. Awesome. That's nice. So you are so what's for those who don't know you, I mean, what are you currently doing? What basically are you currently doing?
All right, so presently I'm a PhD student in the US, and my discipline, I'm studying, I'm in biological sciences, but my concentration is in infectious diseases and vector biology. Oh. So that's what I'm doing at the University of Southern Mississippi in Ellisburg in Mississippi State.
Oh, interesting. So now you're going for another PhD. So if you now get your PhD now, will it be double doctor? Will it be doctor?
Of course. I'll be doctor.
It will be doctor. That's interesting because I understand that coming to the United States could be a very Herculean task, right? It could be something that you are not even prepared for. And even if you are prepared, maybe they did not tell you how stressful it's going to be. So can you tell the viewers basically, right, that what actually inspired you? Why did you leave from FUNAB? What inspired you to come to the United States?
Well, anywhere in the world, we all know that when it comes to education, this side of the world, they do better. At least we should tell ourselves the truth. So all I was in my journey, I was looking out for the best. Education wise, I wanted to learn from the best. I wanted to know. I wanted to be exposed. One of the things is that in life, you have an advantage if you get to study from this part of the world, because that way you will be able to compete internationally. You know what I mean? And I think it's a very good thing if you leave your zone, if you can leave your confined zone and go out and see the world in a different view. And trust me, for the few times I've been here, I've learned a lot of things in a way that if I had been in my country, I would not have learned it that way. So, it's very good. You learn things very well. So, that's one of the reasons why I came here.
Awesome. So, that's nice. Some people actually want to, they want to have better education. And like I said, I wasn't mistaken when I said he's a scholar, right? So imagine spending 5 years, studying veterinary medicine, and then
6 years.
8? Did you say 8 years?
6 years. They call 6 years. But I ended up spending years too.
Can you say that again? I think the internet actually broke.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm saying the course is actually for 6 years.
Really?
But I ended up spending 8.5 years to get the degree.
Is it because of industrial actions? Alota?
Of course, yeah, of course. The Corona break was one of them, and then you can imagine if I've been in school since 2015, how many strike met me in school.
Oh, right. And then you're like a godfather to those who are just coming in,
So I'm a class of 2021 that graduated in 2023.
Wow, interesting. So if they ask you when did you graduate, what do you say? 2021 or 2023? Which of them?
I graduated in 2023, right?
That's awesome. 8 years. That's like somebody who has gone for undergraduate degree. Like you have done your first degree, maybe for a 4-year course, and then you went for another undergraduate degree again for another 4-year course. Agba. I get you. That's awesome. So was it immediately you finished from FUNAB that you're like, okay, I think the next thing that I need to do now is for me to pursue my PhD in the United States?
Yeah, it was more or less that. So, it's very good when you have friends of like minds.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I even did my last, in veterinary medicine, just like the medical ones used to do housemanship. So at the end of every session, we used to have like something like that. We call it like internship and clinical year. So I did my last clinical year at the University of Ibadan teaching hospital, the veterinary teaching hospital. So, and I had, because I'm from Oyo State, so I'm very familiar with the environment in Oyo State. So one of my friends, he was in his finals then. Now, my friend I'm talking about graduated from PhD just last week from Cornell University. He's a very good friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh wow, nice.
He's a very Ivy League too. And one of the things was when he got admission then to this place, and before he left, when we were talking together, then he just told me that. Bro, you also can do this. And then, he gave me some of those things. But then I was, I said I was doing my IT then at the veterinary teaching hospital. So I also had it in mind that, okay, when I'm done, I'm also going to pursue this.
Yeah.
So I had everything planned right from my finals. I mean, when I was in my final year, I had everything planned that when I graduate, I go for my National Youth Service Corps, and then from there, I plan to move on directly to study abroad.
So was it like, this question is not supposed to be like simple, but I mean, what was the process like for you? Going down memory lane, right? I think yours are in the STEM category, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have to, write some sort of GRE? Do you have to evaluate your transcript and all of that? Did you have to do any of those?
Yeah, so I would. So now let's continue from where I stopped earlier on. So I told you I had everything. I had plans.
Yeah.
I mean, I was as deliberate as planning where I wanted to do my NYSC. I planned it that much.
Yeah.
And that's my reasons. So I think one important lesson I would like to start with is the fact that when it comes to planning, when it comes to coming, if you have it in mind, you want to come to this side of the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen by permutation and combination. You have to plan it, because it's not most times people don't get here by luck. People get here by planning, preparation. Yeah. So going back to my story, so I made plans, and I'll tell you a little bit of the plans. Someone might learn from it.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
So I told you that I made plans even to NYSC, because I was a medical person.
Yeah.
I knew that I had it in mind that if I go to NYSC, I either want to work in a clinic, in a veterinary clinic, or for the veterinary profession, we have like abattoirs. So we have people that used to visit the abattoirs. And if you know about abattoirs, you know that abattoirs is always very early in the morning. So once you go very early in the morning,
for those who don't know what abattoir is like where they butcher, right? Where they butcher.
Yeah, where they slaughter, where we slaughter. Yes.
Where they slaughter cows.
Oh, that is where meat are slaughtered, cows, sheep, goats. We process it, and then the veterinary doctors, and they go there to certify to be sure that the meat are wholesome for human consumption. Nice. We do that before you people eat the meat. There are a lot of diseases, brucellosis, tuberculosis that you can get from this meat if they are not certified.
Meat per se.
Yeah, so we try to be sure that they're certified. So that's majorly what we do at the abattoir. So, I had it planned that, and abattoir work sometimes can be very strict. Why? Because you go as early as 6 a.m. in the morning, and then by 11 a.m., 12 noon at most, you are back. Because I don't want to know how big the abattoir is.
Yeah.
If they used to start very early, like 7 at most. And then in 4 hours, 5 hours time, they will be done slaughtering, and you'll be done with it. So I planned it that if I get the opportunity to work there, that will give me the grace to start applying to schools abroad because my friends made me understand that the process is not something easy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things involved. You need to have draft of statement of purpose, write code emails.
I think to get into all of those, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Because some people believe that some people just
that's
think that I feel like going to the US maybe next week or next month. So what do I need to do? And there's something they call initial graduate. Yeah.
I mean, the initial gragra is a whole lot of things because one of the things you notice is that when people get over here, and then when people come into your DM to ask you how did you do it, that's the initial gragra because they also want to go there. But you notice that.
It's
but you notice that after like 2 weeks,
initial gragra is dopamine, right? For the sake of viewers who don't understand that, it's dopamine effect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a plan that way that okay, this NYSC is the year for me to apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the year for me to apply to send out as much as possible. So when I was going for NYSC, I was going because I wanted to enjoy NYSC quite all right. But I also had it at the back of my mind that this is the year where before I leave this NYSC, I must get admission or be very close to getting one because I mean it's a whole 1 year.
What year was this? What year was this?
All right, so that was so like I said, I graduated, got inducted in 2023.
Yeah.
So I went for NYSC in 2023. That was July. Yeah. Okay. So I went for NYSC in July 2023.
Okay. So you were simultaneously applying to you were simultaneously preparing for grad school while doing NYSC, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Go ahead.
So during my NYSC days, so God made it very well for me. I was posted to a clinic. But the good thing was that when I was posted to a clinic, I was at first posted to, I have in Ekiti State. I was at first posted to the state veterinary clinic, which was very busy because, of course, it was at the state capital. But later on, it had other veterinary hospitals in some of their towns that they didn't have.
Hold on, Laolu, I think your audio is breaking. I don't know what's happening, but your audio is breaking. So let's continue from where you said you go to the butcher, right? And then you finish from 7 to about 12 noon and all of that. So what do you do with the rest of that time?
Okay, so what I was saying is, so for me, I was not actually posted to the abattoir. Okay, this is it. I used to be at the state capital, but I was transferred from the state capital to another town because they were in need of a doctor. One of the things was that when I was transferred to the other town, it actually helped give me more time because there was less work at the new town than state capital. Obviously, there's a lot of people there. So today you might have a case today, and then tomorrow you might not have a case. The next day you might not have a case. So the thing for me was I had more time for myself, and because I was like the only doctor there. In fact, I was the first doctor that was posted there. So
wow.
In a way, I was like in charge. I had time for myself and all.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of time. I had the luxury of time to send out applications. And because time difference and all. I was okay. We're going to talk about time difference when we talk about how.
And this was between 2023 and 2024, correct?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. I mean, let me even tell you specifically. So I went to service in July 2023. We did a 1 month, the 21 days in camp.
Yeah.
I started work. I got my letter to start work at the state hospital on August 1. August 1, 2023 should be a Tuesday if you check the calendar. I should be right. It should be a Tuesday. I can never forget. It was raining cat and dog that day. So we left. That was the day we left camp then. And from there, so I started working. And I started because I didn't settle down on time.
Yeah.
Because I was working at the state. I was working at the state capital.
Yeah.
I worked at the state capital for August, for September, and October. So I think it was October, mid-October or thereabout that I moved, that I was transferred to another town. So truth is, I got settled in the other town because when I had to look for a house and all. I was at the family house for a while, the NCCF family house for a while, so I wasn't settled. I got settled November, so I started application actually in December 2023. Yeah, I started applying December 2023, and I even started like December 10 or thereabout. I remember very well then that I was going to apply to Cornell University too. Cornell University and University of Pennsylvania. So I
Wait,
remember
what
that.
gave you ginger
Yeah.
to apply to Ivy League school? What gave you the ginger that you did
I
not
mean,
see?
why not? Why not? I mean, people ask me that question, and I
Yeah,
ask myself, why not? And I will
right.
tell you one of the reasons, one of the things that made me apply.
Yeah.
So, and this is the purpose of planning, because I planned and I know what I wanted to do. I looked out for schools that had application fee waiver.
Right.
So Cornell, I sent a message to Cornell to grant me fee waiver for application, and they
Right.
accepted. So they gave me a
Oh,
fee waiver. So
nice.
tell me why I should not apply. I mean, I wasn't using my money.
How did you
I
go
was not
about the
using my money.
application fee
And
waiver?
let me
Because how did you go about the application fee
okay.
waiver, if I may ask? Because there are some people that are
Okay.
like, how can I go about, because I don't have a lot of money, how can I go about sending application,
Yeah.
fee waiver emails, right, to schools? Do you send this to the
Yeah,
program
you're right.
director,
Let
or do
me
you look for a
let
particular
me let
faculty
me
or something?
also add one interesting thing. I
Yeah.
told you that I planned my NYSC and everything. Now, I planned it to go to a state where they were going to pay me money. And one of the reasons why I did that was just because of the application of a thing. Because I know that if I'm going to be applying to schools, I might be needing money to support the application.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can tell you, when I was serving in Nigeria last year, in a month, the money that I was paid was a little bit above 200,000 every month
What? As a
as a
youth
copper.
copper.
Yeah,
What? That's okay. Okay.
yeah.
That's interesting.
So,
Okay.
so when I'm
So,
checking, when I'm telling you I planned, when I'm telling you I planned everything. I mean, I
yeah.
planned. And I know everybody listening to this post might not be Christian, but I'm a Christian. That's part of my life. And one of the reasons was because I got a part in the Bible in Psalms that was talking about make your plans first and put it into the hands of God. And that's a paraphrase. I paraphrase. Make plans, involve God, and see
Yeah.
how God will help you. So that was what I did. I made plans for, and that's one of the importance of planning. I used to tell people going for NYSC, don't allow NYSC just give you anything, because NYSC can give you anything. I mean,
Absolutely.
you might have a short plug, and it will not work. I had
Yeah.
plans that if my plug does not work, I will still be fine. I still had my plans, but
Yeah.
I had plans to go to the state that pays vet doctors the highest, and that was the state I went to. The state alone pays me 169,000 every
Wow.
month, and plus
Minus
that
the
3K.
wages or minus the stipend that
Yes,
the National Youth Service Corps pays on a monthly basis.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that was why I said in a month I was earning a little bit over two hundred
That's pretty
thousand
much
every month.
powerful. That's very powerful, right? Because now that now it's getting very interesting, right? Now the NYSC aspect. What time do you have, or what informed decision do you have about this is a particular school that I'm going to apply to, or this is the total number of schools that I'm going to apply to, and this is how I'm going to send in my application. So can you walk us through that application phase?
Okay. So for the application phase, one of the things I did was I had a book. I had a very big book. So I used to, during the day when I'm at work in the clinic, I will search out for schools. When I search out for schools, I will look at their programs, the programs they are doing. Do I have anything that interests me? If I see anything that interests, I write it down. So in my book, so at a point in time, I had about 30 schools that I wanted to check out.
Wow.
So now for every time I look at schools, I was also, now let me also say this. Before I started application, I had some things that I had in mind that okay, this is what I want to do. I told myself I didn't want to write any GRE exam, any IELTS.
Yes, yes.
For me, I felt,
Yeah,
and
TOEFL
let me
and
tell
all
you,
of that.
it might sound funny, right? But it's not funny. If
Yeah.
I went to school and I spent like years speaking English, writing. Do you know what it means to study veterinary medicine? I mean, you do oral exam every semester. You do written exam, a lot of viva, a lot of, I mean, tests and all in English language. So I tell myself, if I spent almost 10 years, a decade, learning in English language, I don't see a reason why I should be convincing you that
That I
okay,
can
I,
speak
I know
English.
English, I can write, I can do and all. So I told myself I'm going to look out for schools that do not require me writing. So I had some of these templates, some of these guidelines that okay, I don't want a school where we need to do West evaluation. I don't want a school where we have to write. I know GRE is much more than English. I understand that
Yeah.
one because in STEM, GRE is not about English. It's more than that. But I told
Yeah.
myself, I'm not writing this. I'm not writing this. And I also told myself that even though I am being paid monthly, but you can imagine, even if I'm being paid 200K monthly, I won't apply to more than 3 schools for that 200K to finish if we are going to convert in dollars. So I still know that I don't want to spend all my money even though I'm getting paid. So
Yeah.
I decided that I will look out for schools with application fee waiver. So when I am searching for schools, these are the things at the back of my mind. Plus, if they have a program that aligns with my research interest.
Right.
So I search for them first. I write them down in my book. And then when I do that, and I start looking at them one by one. And then I'll look at the profs there. When I look at the profs there, I go and search for their Google Scholar, see what they do,
Yeah.
check for some of these things. One of the things I'm saying are the styles you use in code emails, and
Yes.
I search for what they do,
Yeah.
and then when I do some of these things, and I say, okay, this is it. I like some of these things. I relate it to my research interest, and then during the day when I am at work, most of these things I do the searching at night
Right.
when I get back home. So during the day, because of the time difference,
Yes.
during the day when I'm at work and I'm less busy, that is when I send out my application to these
Wow.
people. So that was basically like the overall plan. So you asked a question about the application fee waiver thing.
Yes.
And the way it works for me was for these schools, it's not every schools that give application fee waiver. But one of
Absolutely.
the things I learned, yeah, but one of the things I learned with this thing is that it doesn't take you anything to ask questions. I mean, message the graduate coordinator of the school,
Yeah.
ask, sir, do you people give waiver and all? I do that to some schools. If I can't see anything that looks like they have application waiver, free waiver. But for some schools, they have like a tradition. I even know the month some schools used to roll out when they do like graduate week or something like that. They will
Yeah.
tell you from November 1 to November 20, we are going to be
Apply
giving
and use some
application
waiver
fee waiver.
code. Yeah.
So exactly. So I am always noting that in my book.
Yeah.
Another thing that I use for that is on LinkedIn. I encourage everybody that wants to come to this side, be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn might be overhyped, but if you know what you're doing, you will learn on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I was following some people on LinkedIn that what they do. Now, if you check my LinkedIn post too now, I've not posted anything for a while. The only thing I do is just repost some opportunities.
Yeah.
And the reason why was now yesterday, someone was asking me just yesterday that okay, I see you post a lot of opportunities. Do you search for them? And I tell her, where's the time to search for them? I don't
Yeah.
search for them. But in time past, in previous years, I have been following people that post regularly some of these opportunities. So it just pop up on my timeline because I follow them, and that makes it so connection. When you connect with people of like minds on social media,
Yeah.
it actually help your cause too, because
Yeah.
you may not be able to see everything,
Yeah.
but some things that you did not see, those other people will see it.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, with the help of social media algorithm, it will bring you to your page, and
Yeah.
you'll be able to,
Yeah.
make use of it. So that was how I was able to get a lot of application fee waiver. So for most of the Ivy League schools, trust me, I had application fee waiver for them.
So how many schools did you apply to altogether?
Minus code emails.
Yeah.
Minus code emails. If you're going to think about the schools I applied to, let me think about it. I applied to maybe like 7, 8 schools
And you
altogether.
got application fee for all or most of them?
I got application fee for 7 of them.
What?
If there are 8 schools, I can't remember, but if there are 8 schools, I got application fee waiver for 7 of them. The only school I paid application fee waiver for is the one that gave me admission.
Oh,
And
the only school you paid the application fee for gave you admission?
Was the one that I am in presently that I got the admission.
Wait, this school that you are in, did they give you application fee waiver or you paid the application fee?
No, they did not. It was the only compromise I had to make in my plan was this school. Why? Because they don't give application fee waiver.
Oh.
So, and that is why the only school I paid application fee waiver to is this school.
Oh, wow.
That I'm currently studying in.
Oh, okay. So the rest of the 7 schools that you got a waiver for, did they give you admission?
I was close to one. Now, I said minus code emails.
Yes.
Right? Because when I talk about code emails too, I was close to one. But that one that they gave me application fee waiver, and they were actually going to give me admission, because I spoke to the prof and she said she liked my profile and everything. But one thing was, they wanted me to do West evaluation.
Oh, that.
And I told you that I had planned that all these things, some of these things,
they are not going to do them.
So I, in a way, and I will also tell you another reason. That school was an R2 school. I don't know if you understand R1,
R2, yes.
In STEM, when we say a school is R1, what it means is their research
focused.
Very, very high research.
Yes, and they get funding for their research.
Exactly. When we say R2 is that they have high research, but not like R1. So that school was R2. So I just asked myself, if I'm going to be doing West evaluation that is like $300, that is like $250 for a school that, the prof said, okay, she likes my profile, but I'm not even very sure that they're going to take me, and then I'll be spending a lot of money in dollars to convert West, which I didn't want to do initially for an R2. So I told myself, no, I don't want to do it. So that was another school I got admission. That was the second. I think that was the only other school I got that I think I was going to get admission, because for this school too, when I did a code email and I messaged the prof, he said he was going to consider me. They will never tell you we are going to take you. They'll just tell you, I'm going to consider you. And then when I tried applying, and I noticed that they don't give application fee waiver. So I paid.
Wow.
So I paid for the application.
Wow. Awesome. So now for your admission, because you are going through a story, right? So for your admission, when you got admission into, how many admissions did you get? I think you applied to like 8. You accepted this one that you're currently in. Was that the only admission you received, or you got other ones?
Yes. That was the only admission I received.
Oh, so it came with automatic funding, or you had to apply for funding again?
It came with automatic funding. Fully funded.
Fully funded. Interesting. So you see the power of planning, right? So you planned it that, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. Okay, so I would assume, is it that the admission came, in 2023, 2024? What was that waiting season? What was that waiting period like for you? When did the admission come in?
All right. So, so you remember I told you I started applying in December?
Yes.
So I remember then when I applied in December, the first set of schools, when I started applying in December, I had not perfected my statement of purpose draft thing very well. So truth is, I started learning how to write all those things with those first Ivy League schools. Sincerely, I remember this the first school that I applied to was Cornell University, and then the next one was University of Pennsylvania, and then the next school was Boston University. I remember very well.
Yeah.
And so when I started in December, this school that gave me admission,
Yeah.
the school that gave me admission, I messaged the professor in March, the 2nd of March, 2024.
Okay.
And when I sent a message in 2nd of March, 2024, he replied me the second day through a code email. He replied me the second day, and then he told me that it looks like my profile is okay, that presently it does not have like a space, but he does not mind discussing opportunities in his lab with me on a video call. I mean, that was a very good one for me because
for you to sell
people
yourself.
that have been your mates, you understand that when a prof is telling you that let's do a video call or a meeting, you know that's
a
already
green
like
light. Yes.
a way forward. So I remember, so he told me, so March 12th, I did a meeting. I did a video call March 12th, 2024. So I had a meeting with him, and he asked me questions, of course, like a mini interview, stuff like that. And then he told me, okay, that I should go ahead and apply properly because at least I need to apply properly. That he was going to consider me. That was the word. And so I went on to apply properly, and he said he was going to be in touch. And for me, that was it. So, but unfortunately, admission letter didn't come until later August 2024.
Oh wow!
But I mean,
For
but the
the
thing was,
fall,
once
for the
we
fall of
resumed,
2025, or for the fall of 2024,
so I resumed spring 2025.
and that was the admission you put in for the spring session.
Yes.
Oh wow!
Okay, so the problem was that when I messaged the prof in March 2024, which was last year, it was already the deadline for fall 2024 had already elapsed.
Oh.
So that was the issue. So he told me that unfortunately he cannot get me for fall again because the deadline has
elapsed. Yeah.
it was past the deadline. So that was why he had to push me to spring 2025, which was January.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now that you have your admission, you have your funding, congratulations, right? That you've got all of those, right? For those of you who are currently asking, oh, how can I get all of this done? You have seen the power of planning, you have seen the power of being proactive, right? And of course, being present socially, right? Using your LinkedIn and all of that. So now that you've been able to get all of those done, let's talk about the visa application process. Because now you received your admission you received the admission letter in August of 2024, right? And you got to the US in the spring of 2025, which is January, right? So between August and December, what miracle happened? How were you able to get a visa date? How many times did you go to the embassy to get your visa approved? Tell us about that visa application journey.
So I wouldn't say I'm a lucky man. I would just say I am a graced man. Grace
and all also. It's grace. Okay.
It's great too. Because I mean, I was just before I jump onto this call with you, the call I had earlier on was with someone I know, a friend of mine who, I mean, the person has funding, full one and everything. But I mean, he went for a visa interview in last month and she was denied.
Wow.
And one of the things we were discussing was the fact that I don't see a reason why you were denied because we did mock interview together and she was like perfect for me and all. So that's why I said sometimes it's grace because so for me, when I got my admission letter from the school in August 2022, that was last year. Don't mind me, I don't forget dates easily, especially dates like that.
I get.
So it was
Yeah.
August.
You got
It was
you.
August 22nd.
You got it. Yo, that's nice. You got it on my birthday. Interesting. Awesome.
Wow. Okay. So I got it
Yeah.
on 22nd of August. That was 2024.
Yeah.
And when I got the admission letter, from admission letter, there's a little bit of process. You get your I-20 and all. So when I got my I-20, that at least to talk about the visa thing. So I don't want to say unfortunately, but it was like that for me. That was when the embassy in Nigeria, the US embassy in Nigeria, changed from USCIS, or what do we call it?
From CG to have it.
Yeah, from CGI, and then they changed to
CGI. Yes.
Avit. And then Avit was a new system entirely. So
Right.
you can imagine if people that helped you, one good thing was doing, and I want people to learn from that too. When you are applying and you're doing some of these things, you should have people who have done it.
Before.
People who have gone through those process. Do you know the importance of that is when you are getting your no from the application and all, you can be able to talk to them. They'll be able to tell you that it happened to me too.
Yes.
That way you can get the encouragement that if it happened to him,
yeah,
and
I'm not the only one.
That means I'm not you understand.
Yes.
So unfortunately for me, everybody that I know like that they are here, they don't know about Avit, the new system, because they didn't go through it.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was left alone into the world to find out how to navigate.
Everybody is doing trial and error. Let's experiment what this new site has to offer.
Exactly. So, and I won't lie, it took a toll on me because I was frustrated.
I think I remember that you were like, I'm going to change it for these guys. What the hell is happening here?
I actually changed it for them, but I will get to it.
Oh my God.
One of the things about the site was that sometimes it does not respond. It got to the point that the site was even they will tell you they are under maintenance. And you ask yourself, the site that was responding to me all of a sudden, we just say we are under site maintenance, and then nothing will be. So for me, I did everything possible. Like I followed, I paid the visa fee and all was ready. And then I got stuck at, I will never forget, pre-approval is, there's this pre-approval stage on the Avit. So I was stuck on that pre-approval stage for 2 good months.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You can't move front, you can't move back. Yeah, just there.
After paying, people that have started, they will know. So I got stuck on the pre-approval stage from that. I paid, I think, I said I got the admission to August 2022. So I remember I paid August 30, I think August 30th. That was the last day of the month. That was when I paid, so that at least, so that I would be able to fasten and everything. But from that August 30 till October 25 or thereabout, or 23, one of the two, I was stuck. I was on the same.
So what are you doing during those periods? Because of course it is beyond your power, and it is beyond what you can do.
So during those periods, I just joined, visa groups where they do mocks and all, and I was just, preparing till when my pre-approval would be accepted. So it was those time. It was frustrating, but I was just using those time to prepare
more,
the
which is actually a very smart move, right? Which is actually a very smart move, because a lot of people, when they face some sort of blocker, right, they are like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do, and all of that. And that's how I always encourage people to actually channel that energy towards what you can control, right? Which is in terms of you preparing, right? And it's you might necessarily not even be the one, being interviewed, right? Maybe during mock sessions. Listening to other people's interviews could actually be a whole different ball game for you, such that you are going to learn from their experiences and all of that. So it's actually a good one that you did, which is in terms of preparing more for your interview.
I mean, during the group that I joined for the mock interview, it was one of the good things again was that I was able to find people like me that we were stuck in the pre-approval process together. So at least I knew that that gave you a little bit of peace that
relief.
okay,
Yes.
I'm not the only
I'm
one.
not the only
Yeah,
one.
the relief.
Yes.
I'm not the only one going through this, and
Yeah.
we were able to like be on our neck. For example, it was funny, but I was able to find the solution to my case, and I provide the solution to other people, and it actually worked
And
for
it
them.
worked.
And
Yes.
what was the solution? Like I said, at the point I had to call one of them. I mean, I used to call the embassy, and they would just tell me it's not their problem. It's not
Yeah.
from them. That they will get back to me. But there was this particular day. I remember I was in Abuja. I went for a meeting in Abuja, and I was really angry. And then the moment I called the lady,
Yeah.
I just told the lady. I know it was as if I knew what she was going to say because
Yeah.
it was the
Because we've
same.
called them over and over.
Yeah. So before she started, I told her I don't want to hear that same thing you people used to say. And then I told her people. The annoying thing was some people got the date. Some people paid and did everything before I did mine. It only took some 2 weeks for them to get a date. And I have been stuck for more than 2 months. So it was frustrating. So I remember I used a very harsh tone that did that. See, you people should find solution to this thing because you can't tell me there's no problem when some people have done it and have been able to get a date. Some people that were in the process
And
together, they have done it.
you are more or less like sitting on a time bomb because you need
Yeah, because
to
it was
know the
October.
straight.
Yeah, I mean, it was October and it
Yeah.
was frustrating. So, she now she gave me another number. She does not, and they don't do that. She gave me a direct number to the embassy in Lagos. And when I called the direct number in the embassy in Lagos, the number now told me to send a message to, like, he gave me like a particular link. That link was more or less like in what do we call it now, in a Google document format.
Okay.
So I followed everything they said. I followed it, and you won't believe it, a week after, I mean, no, not a week, 5 days after I did that, I got a date.
Wow. So now that you received a date after the whole brouhaha, right? So where was the interview done? Was this in Abuja or in Lagos?
It was in Lagos.
Oh
I
wow.
wanted to do it in Abuja then, but I mean, I went to Abuja for a meeting, so I did not hand guy. So I felt, let me go back to
Let me
my
just
zone,
go to
and
base,
then
right?
be able to, now that I have a date. So
Yeah.
I remember that so when before I actually got a date, I decided to do I expedite
Oh, you
expedited
expedited the
appointment.
date. Okay, yes.
Yes. So
Was it approved?
that yeah, it was
Oh,
approved.
nice.
I remember I was on my way back from Abuja going back to Oyo then when the expedited date was approved. So I picked a date of my own. So I
Right.
decided to pick like 2 days interval. And that was in November. So I did my interview November 6th.
And at this time, you've already prepared. You were like, bring the ammunition. We are going to the battlefield. Let's go.
Exactly. That time, I was already just waiting for the date because I've been doing
You've
more
been prepared and all
rehearsals
of
and
that.
stuff.
And
So
you
it
were
was
fully funded at the time, right? So now what
exactly.
happened a night before your interview? A day before your interview, what happened? Were you it's tomorrow, what's happening? What am I going to do? What happened a day before your interview?
Of course, you know that. I mean, the day before my interview, I think I only slept for like an hour. And that hour or 2 hours was just because I had to force myself to like sleep
Yeah,
because
you could.
I felt if I need to sleep too, I need to
Yeah.
rest.
And
But
it was your first
the truth
attempt, right?
exactly.
Okay, go. Yeah.
It was the first. Let me say it was my first and only
First
attempt.
and
So,
okay.
I mean, I've heard of people who were also fully funded, who were my shoe, who did not get it, even though they prepared so hard.
Yeah.
So the truth was, there was that fear that, hey,
Will I get it? Will I not get it?
what's gonna happen? Will I get it? Will I not get? But I mean, all I could just do at that point was just at least go there and trust
And do
God
your
to
best.
help you and do my best exactly because I mean,
Because
I've
I
done
get to
everything that should
see,
do.
and this is not to put fear in anybody's mind, right? some people say that, so go to Lagos or go to Abuja. And so the day that I went to Lagos embassy, not for visa interview, right? I just went to the embassy for, for a meeting. And I was literally
Okay.
scared on behalf of these people who were getting their visa, who were going for their visa interview, because the environment was freaking tensed. I'm like, what? Even I wasn't going for a visa interview, but you see those people at the gate, I'll be like, oh, come, your distance is still, your passport size has to be 2x2. It has to be this. You are not allowed to put your bag in there. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm not here for an interview, right? Like the tension everywhere is just so crazy.
Outside was tensed, right? But when you get into the if there's another word for tensed or more than tensed, when you get to the I mean, for me, when I got into the I was surprised. Do you know why? Because before I went into the I was expecting that it was going to be like a one-on-one, no distraction kind of interview.
That is the.
And then, I got into the hall and I thought probably I was here at the reception or that they were going to take me into
another place.
room. Until when I just looked up and I noticed that, wait, they are asking someone who was on the queue in the front, asking a question.
Yes.
And then it just dawned on me that, wait,
this is the interview.
Like the
yes.
interview.
Yes.
And that actually, and at that point, I was like, what? Like,
yes.
Somebody will be hearing what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's it just didn't make sense at a point. I had to like settle in my mind for a minute.
Yes, like this is the real deal. This is the real deal, right here.
This is the last one. And then it's always. I mean, it was crazy that you can hear everybody.
Absolutely.
You can hear the person that was. You can hear and see the person that was giving.
And even the questions, you get to hear the questions, the microphone, and everything.
Yeah. And for at that moment, I was even trying to look out for who is the nicest view around that place. Okay, probably let me go to this window. But for like, and I noticed for like 10-15 minutes, I noticed that if this one gives someone white paper now, the next two people
blue paper,
he might deny the next person. So and I noticed that this thing
is just nice random.
So at that point, I remember I just started watching like
you just be kabashi like Olu
Agbawa. I was praying the spirit that Lord, I don't need you. Let me leave you. I remember the lady in front of me. She was denied. But let's not lie. I'm not trying to say that I know better. At the point when they were asking the question, I was already feeling that the way you answer this question.
I get it. I think I experienced something like that too. Mine was even kind of implicating because it's the way the guy responded when the verdict was done that, you know what, I'm not going to be approving your visa. It destabilized me. I was already destabilized, right? So this guy came in. I was like, oh, you know what? Apparently has been at the embassy before, right? And they were asking, oh, what has changed and all that, and he could not give like a coherent answer. And when the verdict was made, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be approving your visa at this time. The guy literally put his hand on his head and shouted, "Yay." When they did that, I was like, Oluwa, what did you just do now? What just happened? Because it's just intensified my fear. Like, for these guys to just shout, "Yay," like, what am I going there to say and all of that? So I feel you when you say that. I mean, some of them are more or less like predictable.
Yeah. I remember there was a grandma too that, I felt she has been trying to go for a while. So she was denied again. It was the one grandma from the East. Because at that point, she was just like, what did I do again? Why did you deny me? I felt pity for her and all, but those are just the normal day drama.
Yes, that's so sad. So,
Yeah.
and I also kind of believe that, there is no favorable officer, there is no disfavorable officer, basically. It just depends on how prepared you are, and now you're able to focus on you, right? Or now you're able to just focus on your questions, focus on how you get to answer them without distractions. It's hard for you not to focus on other people, but then,
well, for me, I think that, like you said, I agree that there's no favorable view or anything.
Yes.
But to some extent, I think that sometimes some of the views are more lenient than each other. I mean,
Mm.
some of them will take some things that another person will not take. For example, if they are asking you a question and you are adding stories that they don't want, some of them will just keep
Mm.
listening to you, or some of them will
Yeah.
just cut you short. But
Yeah.
some will just tell you, answer whatever I ask you.
Yes,
Don't
yes,
tell me what I
yes,
not
yeah,
ask. So,
yeah,
but
and to add to that, right? I think it's that is where the skill of reading the room comes in.
exactly,
There might be
exactly.
different instances, right? So the first instance could be that, I mean, I think during my first attempt, they'll give you like a card that's direct you to the window that you're going to, right? And in other situations, you could just be on a queue and then you go to the next available window, right? As long as you are still trying
Yeah,
to focus, you're also trying to like read the room. What does this officer want? How is this person responding? Does this officer actually cut shots, right? My first attempt, this lady was literally just cutting shots, cutting shots, cutting shots. So if you have rehearsed or crammed your answer and like, oh, this is what I'm going to say, and this I'm going to say it, you might be shocked that might not even have the time for you to say all of those
yeah.
things, right? Which of course the place of reading the room also comes in. So now that the person who was in front of you was denied, and now it's now up to you. Was your act in your mouth? Was your chest here in terms of big 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 big?
Agree with you actually. I mean, that's how it is, and
So
that's
sorry,
why
say that again. I
just
think I
be
lost it for a
prepared
while.
and then just
I
trust
lost it for
God.
a while. Say that again.
Yeah. So I'm saying. So I'm saying I agree with you, and that's where the place of preparation and
Yes.
prayer also comes in, because
Yes.
it might not be the way you planned it to be, but just be
Yes.
prepared for anything.
Yes. Yes. So I was saying that, now that it is now your turn, right? The person in front of you was denied, right? So how did you react to it, and how were you able to maintain your composure in a very demure way, very very demure, very mindful?
All right. So I think one of the things that helped is, I mean, and I'm always grateful for the course I did in my undergrad. So let me tell you a little bit for my undergrad. So presently, minus the interview session, the embassy visa interview session. When I in my undergrad, at least I've done nothing less than 10 different oral interviews,
Mm.
because the way it works in the medical field, before you leave a particular phase to another phase,
Yeah.
there will be oral interviewers that will come from another school entirely.
External.
So, for example, yeah, external, yeah, exactly. So, for example, when I was leaving preclinical phase, that's like 300 level. Preclinical phase ends in 300 level for semester.
Yes.
The preclinical courses you did, so they will bring external supervisors or invigilators from
Mm-hmm.
schools, from other veterinary schools. I remember some people came from Sokoto, some people came from Enugu, in other schools where they do veterinary medicine. So,
Yes.
and what they do is you sit down, everything they've taught you for 3 semesters from 200 level to 300 level, they can just ask you any question.
Wow.
So, in that way, I mean, trust me, and the way we used to go in, your mates, my name is Oyedina, so trust me, I used to be like the last set of people. They would
Mm-hmm.
have asked all the very good questions in this world.
Yeah.
Finish from people from A
From
before you
A
reach
to
to
L
Tom.
or N. Yes.
Exactly. So I was used to being tensed going into interviews.
Mm.
Why? Because at that point where they ask people a lot of questions, when you are going, you are tense. I'm like, I don't even know what they're going to be asking me, but at least I still have to go. So you see, and the worst has happened. I mean, there are times when you go, they will ask you 10 questions, you are able to answer 3. And even the external supervisor will even tell you, boy, do you know you did not answer my question very well? And
Yeah.
there were also times where I would do some other vivas, we call it vivas, and then you'll be able to answer literally almost all the questions, you'll be happy. So,
Mm-hmm.
that phase of my life had prepared me for. anything
For
when it comes to
this.
sitting in front of
Yeah.
people, even when you are tense. Because trust me, even after doing a lot of Viva, I did preclinical, I did paraclinics. When I was still going to do the clinical year in 600 level before I graduated, we were still doing the final one. I
Wow.
was still tensed.
Wow.
Tense situation is always there. So that has
Yeah.
actually prepared me, I would like,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Mm.
even though the woman in front of me was denied, I was still like, I mean, I still gotta do this.
Let's
And
go.
I
Yeah,
was
you still
just
have to
there.
get it done.
And I was just thinking at the moment that, okay, bring it on. Whatever will
Yes.
happen today, I am ready.
Yes.
So
Yes.
truthfully, that actually helped. And
Wow. Nice. Nice.
it helped. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, how was the interview session like? Like the interview proper? Do you believe that you actually said everything you plans to say, or it was more or less like, I mean, just bring it on. Anything you ask me, I'm going to answer you.
Yeah. So for me, I knew better not to cram when I was
Mm-hmm.
going for my interview.
Absolutely.
I knew
Yes.
better not to cram.
Yes.
But there's a difference. I know people used to misinterpret this thing. When we say do not cram, we are not saying do not know your lines.
Right.
What we're saying is that know your lines, but you don't have to say it like a robot. When you understand the
Mm-hmm.
important line that you have to say, you
Yes.
can be
Yes.
creative with it and say it
Yes.
in another way. I mean, it
Yes.
should not be a problem for you to construct a sentence in another way,
Yes.
saying the same thing. So that was
Yes.
one of the things I had in my mind that, okay, now as I'm going, so when the woman, funny enough, the woman, when she asked me, I can never forget the first question. I might not remember every other one, but I remember the first question. It was different. She asked, the first question was the fact that she can see that I am fully funded,
Mm.
and she told me that what are going to be the duties I'll be performing
A
for the
lot of people don't
position
know that
they
question,
get
man.
to.
They don't know the
I
answer
know
to those questions, right? And
they
they just
won't,
go ahead and just blab.
and I probably I might not have known it too, but thanks
Mm.
to the visa group one of the visa group I joined, there's one of the woman, I don't know if I should say her name, but those people are fantastic people.
Mm.
I mean, and she once asked that question from someone at the mock session,
All
and then
right.
she told the person that, and then I remember what she told the person. She told the person that, see, look at you. They put all those things in your I-20, but you never read
You
it.
never
And
read
you are
them,
going to
yes.
the US to
Even
go
your
and read it.
statements of
You never
purpose,
read them.
yes.
And then she said, I am going, and you say you are going just to go and do it. So, when she said that night at the mock interview, I remember I had to go check mine. And I said that,
Your
oh, these
I-20.
things are actually there, assigned duties
Yes.
and responsibilities. So,
Yes.
that was the first question she asked me. And if you ask me, my interview, I know they used to say that interview is not always more than 1 to 3 minutes. But trust me, my own was almost like 7 minutes.
What?
Because the woman
Really?
kept asking. Yeah.
You know
Because
something that I
the
get to
woman.
realize? I feel that if they want to issue it, and this is just like my personal opinion, I feel like if they want to issue
Okay.
you that visa, they'll first due you. Right? So when you realize that, oh, you know what? Okay, I think you're answering all of the questions and all of that and all of that. Okay, so what do you. So that means that they are like, this guy is actually ticking all of the boxes. Let me keep asking
Uh-huh.
questions and just say tiny fault, and that tiny fault might be the valid basis on why they might deny the person a visa.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the woman asked me as much as, why are you going to these states? What's so
Mm.
special about these states?
Oh
And
wow,
when
really?
she, when she asked that question, one thing about me is that, well, maybe because I have people who read psychology, so I understand psychology to some extent. I
Yeah,
understand that when you're communicating with people, facial expression also matters,
matters.
because when you look
Yes,
at someone's face, you can be able
yes,
to understand their reason for asking that question.
yes.
I got to know that from her facial expression. It was like she knows the state, she's familiar with the
Mm.
state, and
Yeah,
then she just wanted to know where are you going. And also,
yeah.
I was trying to, so there was a whole lot of discussion. I mean, the reason why I said that was because there was more or less no questions she did not ask me.
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
asking me from
Let me
back to
just ask
back,
that to fulfill
back to back.
unrighteousness.
Exactly. And then, at the end, when she felt, Looks like there's no more question to ask. And the truth was, when she was asking me, I kept my cool. I was just answering to the best of my knowledge. Truth is, before I answer, I try to ask myself, why is she asking me this question?
So a lot of things are going on at the same time, and you still have to be fast about it. That's crazy, man.
Trust me. But like I said again, thanks to my undergraduate vivers, because even when I've learned over time with the numerous vivers I've done, the numerous oral exams I've done, that when someone is asking some questions, sometimes look at the person, try to understand why he's asking that question, because sometimes they just want to understand some things about you. That's what they are. So that has trained me to be able to reason about things like that very fast and give a reply. So when she was asking, in few seconds, in less than seconds, nanoseconds, I think about why is she asking me this question.
And immediately you give it back to her.
I will know what I was going to answer. So I mean, it was more or less a conversation between us. And that was what I said. My time was, it was almost like 7 minutes. And at the point where she even said, okay, I'll be approving your visa, she didn't even start with that. The first thing she said was that when she gave me back my I-20, she was like, you see this I-20, don't put it in your backpack.
Put it in your hand luggage.
At that point, I was a little bit lost. I was like,
what are you saying? What's this?
And then, she was like, did you hear that? I mean, she came again. She was like, did you hear that? Don't put it in your backpack. Put it in your hands, And then she reached out for the white paper.
Right? Like, okay.
At that point, of course, I didn't hear anything.
Oh my God, that's such a delight, man. That's really delightful. That's really delightful. I mean, and I could see your preparation coming handy, right? So remember that you I mean, from your NYSC days, you've planned that. So this is what I'm going to do during this time, and this is the number of applications that I'm going to send. This is how I'm going to send them. I'm going to go through this route for me to be able to send code email, right? And even now that I want to apply for my visa, I had to wait like extra 2 months for my pre-approval stage to be approved and all of that. And all of those preparation paid off in 7 minutes. Imagine preparing for something for close to about 3 months to 4 months just for a 7-minute conversation. And that is mind blowing. That is mind blowing. And what I've learned from all of this is, again, you can't be too over prepared for something. You can never be too over prepared, because now when you understand and internalize your story, right, you could literally answer from any angle as long as you know your stuff, right? Nobody did it for you. You own it, right? And you could literally just say it anyhow as long as you are still communicating the major points of what the person wants to hear, which is actually a delight. If you guys have not subscribed yet, please ensure that you subscribe, and I'm going to be uploading more helpful content for you. And for Dr. Laolu, for those who are considering doing like a PhD, right, and maybe even their masters, what will you have to say to them? Maybe some of them are still in school, some of them have left school and are considering that. So what, I think I need to pursue my master's degree, or just pursue my education in the United States. What will you have for them to say?
I think what I would say is, before you start anything at all, clarification matters. You see, the problem with most people, and the reason why people don't get things, we talk about initial gra-gra,
yes,
the dopamine effect.
Yes.
You see, the difference between those ones and the people that actually get things done is the fact that some don't clarify things, and the others don't prepare. The clarification aspect is that you want to ask yourself questions. What do I want in life? What do I want from this? Why do I want this?
Right.
You see, I used to tell people, I mean, even as a Christian leader, I used to say this to people. I used to tell them that your why, your what.
Yes.
If you have never answered the question to why and what, you may not be able to live life the best way. Because if you cannot answer the question of why am I doing this, what am I going to gain from this, why am I the why, how, and what question, if you've not answered it, it will be more or less like you're just following the crowd.
Right.
Because
Right.
that way when someone says I'm doing this because of this, you follow.
That's
But
the
that might not be your
bandwagon
way.
effect because you don't have anything
Yeah,
you have to offer to that.
exactly. So the thing there is, the first thing is clarification. I mean, do you really need to do one of the, and what that means is, do you really need to do a PhD? Do you really need to do, because not everybody needs to do a PhD
Yes.
for to achieve their goals.
Yeah.
A master's might just be enough.
Yeah.
Then do you even understand the kind of PhD that we have? Do you know there's a normal PhD, there's PhD, there's a there's a PhD, and there is doctor, there is DRPH, there is PhD. Those things are different. I mean, people don't even understand. For example, the DRPH, if you want to work in the policy making arena, in the
Yes.
policy making field,
Yeah.
and you are saying STEM, then you don't need a PhD. What you need is a DRPH, which is a doctor of philosophy, doctorate of philosophy, which could also be in the STEM area. So, one of the things is you want to clarify, know exactly what you want. You see, what happens is when you clarify, you make plans, you know what you want. It helps you because later in future you might need to make a compromise. But because you have a clarification about the journey you are about to start,
Yes.
it actually helps to know the kind of compromise you can make. For me, I made a compromise. I said I was going to look out for application fee waiver, but I made a compromise to pay application fee waiver at a point.
Yeah.
But it paid for me because I had a little bit of assurance that I was going to get it. So so sometimes I was telling a friend recently that okay, she also did not want to write GRE and all. But I was saying now, due to the level of funding that has been slashed totally in the US now, you might want to check some of your goals, your this thing, the clarifications and all these
And
things.
revisit
You might
them.
want to you might want to revisit and see if making a compromise might help. So to answer your question again, let there be clarity. One of the things clarity does is when you have clarity of mind of this thing, your direction will also be clearly stated. You will have a clear direction.
Yeah.
So what I will tell my advice to people like that is clarify things, know what exactly you want. The truth is you can always get anything you want in life. But the first question is, do you know what you want?
Yeah.
One of the problems with people is that they don't know what they want. They never try to find out what they want. So you see, when they are in between, they will just, they will just be in between, moving anywhere the ocean waves take them. And that way you will not get where you are going, at least not on time. Because the waves will just push you now and then. So you see, when you are able to clarify things, if you know that you want to travel, study abroad, something like that, start searching for the country. Know things about the country. Know things about the application process, right? Know a lot of things about how to go about it. It as funny as some people say they want to travel, but they don't know the difference between applying to scholarships like MasterCard Foundation, Chevney, and writing code email. They don't know the difference between a normal scholarship and a graduate assistantship.
Right.
They are not the same thing, When you do a graduate assistantship, you still have to pay for your visa fee, you still have to pay for your flight. You know that if Erasmus Mundus gave you a scholarship, they pay everything totally. So
there's also food
when
rights and all of those.
Exactly. So when you don't have clarity as to what exactly you want to do, you won't get there. You will most likely not get there. If you are lucky, you might get there, but not on time. It will be after a lot of here and there. But when you have clarity, it helps you to go straight. You know who to talk to help you with this. You know when to do this, and you know how. So my advice to people, the first advice I will give is clarify. Have a clarity. When you have a clarity, trust me, every other thing will follow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so very much. That has been really, really insightful. Apart from you being prepared about what you want to do, ensure that you seek clarity. You know what you are going for, and then you know why you are going for what you are going for, right?
Exactly.
That has been really, really profound, and I think that should be one of the things that actually drives you as you prepare for grad school, maybe in the next semester or in the next academic year. Thank you so much, Dr. Olaoluwa Oyederon, for honoring our invite today, and we wish you the very best in your PhD journey as it goes. How has it been so far since you came to the US? How's it been?
Bro, my brother, it's not the same thing. It has been really, really. I mean, there's a whole lot of changes. There's a lot
Yeah.
of new development. There's a lot of adjusting to. I was just talking. I mean, the person I was on a call with earlier on, I was telling her about how since I've gotten here, I still have not slept. I can count days where my sleep has been very, very sweet. And all
Wow.
this because
Really?
now we're in the summer, but
Yes.
I still go to the lab like I go to class
Like you go
during
to
the normal
class
semester.
during the summer
There
break.
is no there
Yeah.
is no difference. The only difference is that I don't have classes. I mean, I still
It
work.
is
So
what it is,
in this
man. You are
way,
getting free education, so you have to pay for it with
there's
your
something
time.
that I've been through it. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's a whole lot of new development, but the good thing is that there's a difference. The learning what's the word now?
The learning
The learning
experience.
culture.
Yeah.
The learning culture and the experience is different, and there's a whole lot to learn. I mean, you see some things, you understand it better, and you appreciate things a whole lot than what you used to know. So, that one has been one of the things that keeps you going, even though it's not
Right.
easy, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of the things for me also is the fact that if some people went through this phase and they were able to do it successfully, I mean,
Why not? Why
I
can't
should
you?
be. Why not
Yes,
me? So
yes,
that's
yes.
another thing that keeps me going. But
Absolutely.
trust me,
Yeah.
in between the line, there's always time when you break up. There's
Mm,
always time where you rant. There's a lot of time where
yeah.
you just ask yourself. I mean,
Who
last week
sent
I
me
was still.
message?
Last week I remember last week on my IG, I still posted a picture of where I was laughing.
Yeah.
That shows when I got admission. And then I posted a picture where I was like thinking.
Like who sent me
That was like
message
me
you?
thinking about my life presently, doing PhD and saying who sent me. And then
Yeah.
I tagged that post with this popular song of No Turning
No
Back,
turning
because
back.
I was
Yeah,
telling myself
like
it
you
doesn't
can't
make
go
sense.
back now.
Because it doesn't make sense to turn back now.
Yeah, you've come too far to give
So
up. Absolutely.
exactly.
But I think these are
Yeah.
some of the things that actually make the journey more interesting. In the next 5 years, when you are done with your PhD, you look back and be like, oh, the sleepless nights, the tired faces, and all of that. And I think it's one of those things that actually makes stories more interesting. Thank you again
Exactly.
for being here on
You're
the
welcome.
on the channel. All right, guys, we've come to the end of today's episode. If you have not subscribed, ensure that you subscribe, you like, share, comment, and do all of those good stuff. And of course, I'm going to be seeing you in the next video. Do take care of yourself, guys. And remember that your yes is on the way, and it has to meet you ready. Take care of yourself and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.